Used to play a bit of golf down in Sugar Land.
It sounds like something from a children's fairy tale, doesn't it? Sugarland.
Yeah.
Well, he'll hope for a few cupcake shots today. Finish sweet off the break.
Yeah, that's right.
Plenty more of that to come, no doubt.
Yeah, I had my first eagle in Sugar Land.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right, Raga with a long distance combo, and I'll tell you what, he's just a fun guy to watch. The reason why I think he kind of not only just hitting the scene on the World Nineball Tour there at the European Open, but just a very much one of those guys that's an entertainer in our sport, and plays with some emotion and a little bit of edginess. You can maybe see the nerves at times, but sure does battle through it. And going to be a fun player to watch for many years, like so many from the Philippines.
You look at the World Nineball rankings, and there are a lot of players in false positions, aren't there? And it just reflects the fact that they've not played that many ranking events, or maybe not played the right ones, or perhaps they were absent from the scene for a while. Well, Raga, number 39 in the world. Well, there's no way there are 38 better players than Anton Raga, or anything like it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And of course, looking to make that ranking shoot way up this week. And from here, it's in that final 64. We'll get down to 16 tonight after 2 rounds. But you don't have to win the event to go climb much, much higher. And, everything's based around those rankings now. So not only the Reyes Cup, which is on the mind of most of these Filipinos more than anything, past this World Pool Championships, but you got the World Pool Masters. You got so many invite lists, and to be fair, just to set yourself up percentage-wise to start tournaments off in a better position. And that's a huge thing when you talk about a long-term career and tournaments in the short term as well.
Well, you look at some of the players who have completely taken us by surprise to get to the final of this championship, even within the last few years. Mohammed Sufi, obviously, last year. Omar Al-Shaheen in 2021. If someone like that was to come through and even get to the final again, similar to those guys, you could go from basically nowhere in the rankings to probably about 6th or 7th in the world. You get so many points even for getting to the final. So the world ranking list, you would have to think, is going to have an enormous shake-up come the end of this week.
Yeah, and these opening matches, of course, having to win another are so important for that second match. It's one thing to stumble across the line. I don't think we're going to see that in the final 64 too much, but at least not this year's World Pool Championships. But, you and I, we talk about golf all the time, and it really can change from day to day, the mentality of the sport, and also a bit of cueing. That's why you see the players, even if they played lights out the day before, up early, trying to get the tempo in the swing and get yourself settled. Little bit of an awkward 9. Got to pay attention. Ooh, did just squeeze it home. Caught a couple of the jaws before it fell on a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, overall a nice efficient opening rack for Raga. The 26-year-old from the Philippines. He leads Lou Reed Teng 1-0. Shane Van Bonin has won the 11th rack. He needed to against Wu Kun Lin. He's back to 1 behind there at 6-5. But here's another big story emerging on table 4. Fedor Gorst, former winner of this title, he's really had to battle to even get as far as this stage. Well, he's playing Amir Ali of Iraq, one of the real breakout stars of this week, and it's Ali leading 3-0. Elsewhere, Tolian Han 2-1 up on Chris Melling. Yaniuski leads Chang Yulong by the same score. Oscar Dominguez has won the first against Ali Al-Obadli. Zhao Griot now 8-4 up on Fu Che Wei. Alexa Pechels 5-4 in front of Naoki Oi. Ralph Suke's won the 5th rack to go 3-2 up on Robbie Capito. Poland's Viktor Zielinski only needs 3 more. 8-4 up on Aydin Pikniak of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Wojciech Szewczyk has a 6-1 lead over Moritz Neuhausen, who played so well on this table yesterday against Billy Thorpe. Piers Labute has 4-2 up on Francesco Candela. Konrad Yusishin has a 4-3 lead over Mark Bijsterbosch. Patrick Gonzalez 5-4 up on Ko Pin-Yi. It's 4-2 for Jeffrey Ignacio over Honus Suto. And another player on the hill is the US Open champion Ko Ping Chung, 10-4 over the highly rated young Philippines prospect Bernie Regalario. How has this Philippines prospect done with his break here, JJ?
Well, he broke him pretty well, got kissed back, that does have a look at the 2, but really I don't know much playable, and a very awkward safety as well. Ko Ping Chung, a lot like Filler. We haven't talked about him much this week, it seems like, but he's cruising as much as anyone.
Well, if you're a top player, you don't want to be talked about in the early days, because the only reason you are is if someone pushes you close or indeed knocks you out. Yeah, Filler yet to start against Vitim Haradinash.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Federer in the building and where he's located. What a setup, though. I mean, just incredible.
I can't remember who it was, but there was one player, I think it was yesterday, said this is the best setup for any tournament ever. Now, you've seen them all, JJ. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, pretty incredible. I'd have to agree, I think. I know there were some incredible posts by many players that exited the tournament on the socials that were, of course, not so happy about some of their performances, but was very happy otherwise. And Darren Appleton being one of them.
When you think of Darren, I mean, he was around in the days when Matchroom were putting on tournaments in shopping centres and roller skating rinks.
Well, you know, there's always going to be venues that you like. You know, you're just partial to for one reason or another. When they took it over, the Whirlpool Championships there in Cardiff, I always loved that.
That was brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, that venue. And, of course, you know, it seems like ever since the World Nineball Tour's come along, all the setups have been awesome. And, you know, they do their best with the venue. It's not always ideal for one reason or another, but for the most part, I would say this is the best. I'd say by all parts, really.
Yeah, so Lu Riteng, sorry, that great run at the UK Open. He knocked out Tobias Bongers, well, defeated Tobias Bongers early on, who of course got back in via the loser's side and made the quarter-finals. Lu Riteng was sent to the loser's side himself after losing in winner's qualification to Joshua Filler, and only just made the single elimination stage in a hill finish against Elliot Sanderson. Once there, he had a couple of good wins against Wong Kwok Wang and Hona Suto, both of whom have won ranking titles in recent months. And in the last 16, he pushed Alban Ocean very close before losing 10-8. He's been playing in international events for around about a decade now.
Looks like SVB's gotten it to 6-6 over there, so fighting hard.
Yeah, and he's at the table with a chance to take the lead against Wu Kunlin.
I'll tell you, I kind of watched Sheshwek, Wojciech, and a couple matches just here and there, and he didn't really look to be 100%. Really saw some mistakes and frustration, really, that you don't see much from the young man. He's got his game going tonight, 6-6, or this afternoon, 6-1 up on Morris Newhausen. I'll tell you another dangerous one. I didn't see him for a minute, but I think Alexa Pasales is just a kid that just keeps at it.
Yeah, great run for him at the US Open. A big comeback to knock out Jason Shaw. Ultimately, he was a semi-finalist there.
I don't know. I think he did get the snooker. I don't think it'll be a jump. I could be wrong as far as the snooker, but I think maybe a swerve at this ball, trying to make it. Subtle swerve. Now it looks like he may be going back for the short cue. And I'll tell you, just the way he walks around the table and gets you on the edge of your seat, in my mind, he's just always in a little bit of a hurry, it seems. Takes quick steps. He's got a big game, though. Now, anytime you're close to the ball and you have so much distance, now he doesn't have to go over much of the ball. That's a good thing, you know, about half of it. But if any miss hit of the cue ball, you get a lot of swerve because you get more energy going upward than you do forward. nicely. Oh, what a hit. Pulled the trigger before we could really even think.
There's so many people in different sports who were making good progress just before COVID came along and stopped everyone in their tracks. And Anton Raga was one of them, playing in big events in Asia, runner-up in the China Open to Wu Chia-ching in Shanghai in September 2019. A couple of months later, semi-finalist in the All Japan Championship, and they're both very big, long-established events you've had very good players playing in over the years.
Yeah, very good ball control there, placing the 6 in the cue ball, coordinating both of them balls to get behind the 7. If you cut off the 1 rail kick, that's really the accomplishment there, and it's hard to do. That's the 1 rail kick off the short rail coming behind the 6 ball. Looks like he's got to put a lot of spin on this. He may go 2 cushions. I'm not sure if the 9's in the way. Doesn't want to have to curve the ball here if he doesn't have to. So if he elevates the back end, this is going to be very difficult. And he has got it elevated. We can't tell from that camera angle, but we can see him. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's what happens generally. You don't get behind it near as much. So you got to make a decision. Is it really the play? And not saying it wasn't, but it was difficult.
It was also in Asia that Raga got to the quarterfinals of the Asian Open in Singapore just under 2 years ago, and that got him a bit more international attention because that was a world ranking event which had a lot of profile.
Yeah, stayed down on that ball a bit longer than we're used to, taking dead aim. Yeah, and Bernie, you know, we saw some stuff from him last year. Was it Hanoi where he made that deep run?
Yeah, Bernie Regalario.
Yeah, and I don't think he just had his game this week. You know, even with the win, it was some stumbles and a little bit of help from his opponent on a couple wins. He played not his best against the guy we're watching right now, Anton Raga, to start the event. So I'm sure it's been a lot of Ko Ping Chung over there, which looks like he's going to get the W, but maybe not that much from Bernie.
Yeah, we were all looking at that as one of the standout matches of the early days of the championship, the All-Philippines clash between Raga and Regalario, but Raga just dominated at 1-9-1.
Yeah, and you never know, of course, 2 countrymen. You know, you have certain players you just kind of hold over, and players that have certainly played each other quite a bit there in the Philippines. May be the case.
So all going to plan so far for Anton Raga, last year's European Open runner-up. He leads Teng by 2-0. 4-all between Mark Bijsterbosch and Konrad Jusichin. Kopeny is just levelled at 5-all with Patrick Gonzalez. It's 4-all as well between Jonas Suto and Jeffrey Ignacio. Shane Van Boening has gone in front 7-6 and actually in play now with a chance to go 8-6 against Wu Kunlin. Piers Labutus 4-2 up on Francesco Candela. Wojciech Szewczyk 6-1 against Moritz Neuhausen. Viktor Zielinski's just a couple of racks away from victory, 9-4 against Aydin Pikniak. Robbie Capito and Ralph Souquet are 3-all. Alexa Peschel's just with his nose in front against Naoki Oi at 6-5. Ali Al Obadli of Qatar level with Oscar Dominguez of the US at 1-all. Janiuski 3-2 up on Chang Yu Lung. Tolian Han leading Chris Melling by the same score. And listen to this. Fedor Gors 0, Amir Ali 4.
Yeah, I did find him in the arena. Can't see much of the table, but can see who's at the table. It's not Fedor Gorst. Okay, this is going to open up nicely. The rack will be removed by the referee, but you can see just a foot away from the blue 2, and it does play. I think he can get by the 9 with a high ball to get onto that red 3. Wants to come all the way over. That way he can hold for the gap on the pink 4. So he wants to get somewhat heavy on the 3. Looks like he can probably kill the cue ball here. Maybe add a hair of inside spin.
Raga has lost a match already this week. He followed that win over Regulario with defeat to Alexa Pechels, but bounced back to beat the Australian World Cup player, James Georgiadis. He was part of that team that came so close to beating Austria in the first round of the World Cup last year. Raga saw him off, and that's why he's here in the final 64.
Prime position to extend that lead, and Lu Teng made some nice balls there in game number 2, but hasn't had a lot of time at the table. Really like everything about his technique as well. A lot of players carry a really long bridge length at times. I like how he kind of squeezes up on the ball a little bit. Really efficient with the swing as well. Not a whole lot of moving parts, and that's where the Filipino players have gotten even better, is they have a little more structure with technique along with all that talent and knowledge. And that knowledge that comes at an early age as well, right? I mean, we see a lot of juniors now. We're around them all the time and at these junior events, and it seems like the players from yesteryear there in the Philippines have really offer a lot of advice to these kids. And of course, they're talented and smart. They acquired on their own as well. I'm a little flat here. Sorry, Michael.
I was just going to say, on that point, I remember talking to Kyle Amoroto a few months ago, and he was saying that Johan Chua has been giving him some guidance and a bit of mentoring along the way. And it's funny to think Chua is now considered part of the older generation of Philippines players. He's only in his early 30s, but it's because there are these much younger players coming through in the next wave. They're just churning them out there at the moment. And these are ominous signs for Lu Teng. Anton Raga racing through that rack very efficiently. He now leads 3-0. Ko Ping Chung has been a semi-finalist in this World Championship in the past. He's into the last 32 this time. He's beaten Bernie Regulario by 11 racks to 4, and he will now play either Mark Bijsterbosch or Konrad Yusashin later today. Long way from knowing who his opponent's going to be. Bijsterbosch leading 5-4 in that one at the moment. Zhao Grio still on the hill, looking for one more against Fu Che Wei. That's 10-5. Not a lot has changed really since I last updated you, because it was such a short rack.
Yeah, Wu Kun Lin just missed. Looked like he missed the 7 and it fell. Missed the 8 right behind it though. So SVB back at the table. Nothing easy, but I always think that first match for, you know, any player of course, but SVB, for as great as he is, that first match in the final 64, I think plays with a bit more pressure. He can get through that. I think you're going to see his best pull moving on. And from 5-2 down, Ko Ping Yi just putting rack after rack together as well over Gonzalez. Now ahead 6-5. More of the break he's looking for, and look at the 2-ball. Friendly kiss. He's going to get a nice angle to drop on a difficult 3 as well.
You know, you talk about Van Bonin in the last 64. It's interesting you should say that, because the only event he would put in the same bracket as this in terms of what means a lot to him would be the US Open. He's obviously still looking for that record-breaking 6th title. The last 2 years in a row, he's gone out in the last 64 stage. Yeah,
it's funny how that is. And wow, Wu Kun Lin missed the 8 right behind him after Shane went for a tough bank shot. So now a 2-game lead for SVB.
Yeah, he had an absolute sitter of a 9 into the side pocket there, Van Bonin, leading 8-6.
Yeah, America, most of America waking up and probably flipping it right on to see what Captain America's up to. And he trailed 6-3 in that match. Has he won 5 on the spin?
It was 6-3, yeah. If he was to lose that, that would mean we're still in the last 64 stage, and all of the last 3 winners of the championship would be out. And maybe the last 4, because Gorst is obviously struggling in his match.
Yeah, I think Billy Thorpe did get through, correct? He was up.
Yeah,
yeah.
11-8 against Oliver Sholnocki, who's been a semi-finalist in the World Championship before.
Yeah, and I think he lost 11-10 when he was a semi-finalist, if I remember correctly. Or maybe
close.
That was his quarterfinal match a few years ago.
In my head, it was 11-9. It was against Al Shaheen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not to say I'm right.
Yeah, we usually don't forget numbers or much of anything else, Michael. So I'm going to go with your call there. Yeah, B.J. Usry has made it through to the final 32. Hunter Lombardo, I don't know if he's teed it off yet.
Yeah, it was 11-9 against Al Shaheen. Following year, actually, Sholnocki was beaten 11-10 in the quarters.
That's what I was thinking of, the quarters, yeah.
Against Kazakis.
Yeah, and then Kazakis lost 11-10 to Al Yusuf in that same, right? Or was that the year before I'm thinking of as well? I know Kazakis lost an 11-10 match to get to the semis, and I thought it was Al Yusuf. Can't remember exactly, but...
No, yeah. No, because Kazakis and Al Yusuf were the 2 beaten semi-finalists that year.
Yeah. Now Yusuf at that point was making some noise, it seemed like, every event.
Well, Al Yusuf made a lot of noise at the World Championship last year because he ended up being thrust into the role of interpreter for Mohammed Sufi, whose English wasn't great, but if you were watching earlier, actually, you'll know it's come on a lot since then.
Yeah, a lot like his game. It's just steadily improving. Look at this guy here. He's going to power up going forward here, trying to get to the center of the table. Just got beautiful cue action. Exactly the type I like to see, really.
Fu Che Wei, who was a rack away, I believe it was, from getting to the final many years ago. He's got one back against João Griot, Portuguese player. Still just looking for one more, though. It's 10-6.
Yeah, Griot always impressing me how much he's improving every time I see him. Tough player. Along with the guy on the table who's not giving Lou Ray Teng too much time at that table. Looks like he's going to set up for the brown in the middle. Decide to come out.
As I said, Raga has already lost a match in this tournament, but then he lost early on in the European Open last year to Konrad Yusashin. Came through 3 matches on the loser's side, the last of which was against no less a figure than Niels Feijen, and then he was off and running through single elimination. Had some great wins along the way. It's hard to know which was the more impressive. The 11-9 against Joshua Filler, who obviously was playing in front of his home crowd in the semi-final, or the 10-0 against Ko Pin-Yi, who had recently before that won the World Masters in the last 32. He led David O'Cady 8-6 in the final, lost the next 5, but then won 4 in a row to get first to the hill. Played a loose safety, though, to let O'Cady in for 12-all, and then, as we said, that 6 just not dropping in the side for him, and O'Cady sold out from there.
He got awkward here. Nice clean hit. Got a little rub on the 9, so more work to do. I like this play there instead of trying to add side spin, which I think makes it very missable. Now here you're on the fence. I like the lower left myself versus the blind pocket. Did initially look for the lower right. These are huge balls. Even with a 3-0 lead, you don't want to let the momentum change.
He's playing very well, isn't he? And he's absolutely frozen his opponent out for the last couple of racks. Anton Raga already leads 4-0. It's gone 4-all. Tolian Han has just drawn level with Chris Melling. Janiuski 5-2 up against Chang Yulong. Still 4-0 for Amir Ali over Feder Gorst. Oscar Dominguez 2-1 up on Ali Alabadli. Alexa Pechelge has gone 7-5 up on Naoki Oi. Robbie Capito now into the lead at 4-3 over Ralph Souquet. Wojciech Szewczyk 8-1 up on Moritz Neuhausen. Piers Labutus leads Francesco Candela 4-3. 6-4 for Mark Beisterbosch over Konrad Yusishin. Ko Pin-Yi only just in front of Patrick Gonzalez at 6-5. Honus Suto leading Jeffrey Ignacio also by that score. And Wu Kun Lin is about to get back to only one behind against Shane Van Boning. He's potted a simple 9, so it's 8-7 there now.
Yeah, that's why you build that lead. That way if your opponent comes back, doesn't take much really to get back in the match. And it's going to be a sweater there coming down the stretch.
And another result I don't think we gave, Viktor Zielinski has ended the run of Aydin Pikniak of Bosnia and Herzegovina 11-4. He'll now play Robbie Capito or Ralph Souquet in the last 32.
We'll hear another 1 ball down and another kiss on the blue 2. Really sets up nicely on the bank, and if the 3 didn't open up, he may not go for that bank, but I can't see him playing safe from here. Everything's pretty natural. He's just got to knock a nice one in. And a bank, he's going to make it 80 to 85, 90%, I think. Something like that, especially he doesn't have to do a whole lot with the cue ball. If you're Lu Ray Teng, you just got to really buy your time and try not to get frustrated, you know, kind of iced out in the chair.
Yeah, we haven't seen Raga do a great deal in the matchroom events since that run to the final of the European Open. Did get to single elimination in Hanoi, but was beaten there by Ralph Souquet. I think he would have been expected to overcome, given that that was only a few weeks after his exploits in Souquet's home country. And he did play in the UK Open last month, got to the last 32, but was whitewashed 10-0 by Joshua Filler. Should say, though, he got to the semi-finals of the Perry Open. I know you were at that, Jeremy. It was just before the main event in Hanoi. And in terms of the big names, it was pretty much the same field as the main event itself. So did well to get to the semis and was beaten by Feder Gorst.
Yeah, what a tournament that was, and what a Purim that was. Just a beautiful place there on the other side of Hanoi from where the Hanoi Open was held. But you can see a little body movement there a little early. And normally Raga, when you see the movement, it's long after the stroke has been delivered, but he wasn't so sure when that one left the tip.
It's funny what you're saying about being the other side of Hanoi. We were obviously so embroiled in the tournament that didn't really get to see much of the place while it was going on, but on the day after the tournament finished I had most of the day free, so I thought, okay, I'll go and have a look around the place. I'd been thinking all week we were in the centre of Hanoi because it was so busy and bustling around there. Turns out we were half an hour away from the centre of it, so that gives you an indication of what a vast, buzzing city the Vietnamese capital is.
Yeah, there's so much to see there, and of course this trip coming this year, plan on being able to see more of it in the city and not far outside of it. There's of course, what is it, one of the 8th wonders of the world, I think, with the largest cave in the world. I forget the name of it. Many of the people made the trip to see it, about an hour away. But one thing that I passed by a couple times was the botanical gardens there.
Oh, yeah.
It looked
yeah.
really incredible.
Yeah, that's probably the thing I remember most, actually, that I saw in the city.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going on with Table 1 so far today, but there hasn't been so many close matches.
Well, Lu Ray Teng is a very capable player. As I said, he's done well in a number of big international events in the past. And he did well in the UK Open just a few weeks ago. But what can you do about it when your opponent just won't give you a shot?
Yeah, the break's been on point. Of course, you wouldn't say it's total luck, but you always got to be a little fortunate to come away with what we've seen, pretty much an offensive shot there after the break in every game. But you also got to knock those shots in as well, and that's what he's been doing.
And there goes another one. Anton Raga has raced away into a 5-0 lead over Lu Teng in the last 64 of the World Championship. Roland Garcia, who's been runner-up before, has won the first rack against Elliot Sanderson. Oscar Dominguez now 3-1 up on Ali Alobadli. Joshua Filler has now started his match on table 9, or at the very least is just about to anyway, against Fitim Haradinaj. Alexa Pechels pulling away a bit now against Naoki Oi, who's a former world semi-finalist. That's 8-5 to the very likeable young Serbian. Robbie Capito 4-3 up on Ralph Suke. Wojciech Szewczyk leads Moritz Neuhausen 9-1. Francesco Candela is up against the informed Pius Labutis of Lithuania, who's had such a good 12 months or so. Labutis just ahead there at 4-3. Mark Boisterbosch with a 6-4 lead over Konrad Yusishin. It's 6-all now between Copenhagen and Patrick Gonzalez, and Jonas Suto has a 1-rack advantage against Jeffrey Ignacio, 6-5 to the Spanish player. Roland Garcia has added another one, now leads Elliot Sanderson 2-0.
Yeah, Elliot's really got to channel that incredible comeback he had yesterday against Al Nar, down trailing 6-1 for his tournament life. Came back and won. Well, it wasn't Al Nar, was it? It was someone else.
No, it was Al Nar.
Yeah, it was Al Nar.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. It wasn't for his tournament life, but it was to get in through winner's qualification.
Sure.
And,
got through Hill.
Yeah, he got through, made a heck of a comeback, and played very well doing so, and really has to, the way Al Nar's played. Now he's exited, but what a fine tournament for him.
I thought Sanderson might never actually finish that match, because right at the start of the deciding rack, he just couldn't see what shot to play. He was looking at it up and down. Must have gone on for 5, 6, maybe 7 minutes. In the end, he just pushed out, but it worked out very well for him, because from that he got the opportunity from which he cleared up to win the match.
Yeah, I think Federgors has just lost another game. They had it on the big screen, showing a bit of that match. So what is that, 6-1?
Well, if he's lost another one, it's 5-0.
5-0, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the one has just had a direct path to that side every rack. Now, he does have a look at the red 3 after making the 2 in that same side pocket, but it doesn't appear much offensive. I don't think he can float off the left side of the 3 really and contain going behind the 9. Could be wrong. Getting down quickly, so it looks like he's just going to push through.
I think we were in danger of forgetting what Lu Teng looks like. Finally back at the table.
Yeah, more fans showing up daily here. Should have a good final couple days, and heard the VIP and the finals are sold out. The semifinal and finals, and good effort there from Lu Teng, but it's going to serve up another shot. Little thin here on the 3, not bad, but just considering holding for the 4, I think it does pass in the same corner though, so he can work the cue ball.
You did really well with that trivia question I set for you earlier today, Jeremy. So here comes another one.
Oh boy.
I think this one's probably easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you've given me some tough ones in the
I
past,
have,
especially for a guy that ain't very smart.
Oh, come on now. Well, I think you've earned the right to an easier one, but still a bit of a challenge. So it's relevant to this match, obviously. How many players from the Philippines have won the World Championship?
Let's see. 1, 2. Oh, was that 2?
Well, tell us who you've got.
Well, no, Alex. I was there.
Yeah, well, he was representing Canada, though.
Oh,
by
okay,
then.
okay. So I was there in '99 when Efren won.
Well, actually, yeah, with Pagulayan, I think we're a bit hazy as to when exactly he made the crossover.
Yeah.
But let's say we exclude him from the conversation then.
Okay.
How many others have won it?
So the one I wasn't present was Carlo Beato. That's one.
Yeah.
I was there for Efren in '99. I was there for Ronnie Alcano.
Mm-hmm. 2006.
Yeah, the most incredible. Him and Efren both had to do 2 incredible things in the group stages. Efren trailed 6-1 against Vincent Falquet. Had to win that match to just qualify. Went in as a 64th seed and ended up winning the event. Ronnie Alcano had to win 8-2 in his last match.
Wow.
In the group stage. Won 8-2 on the number to qualify as a 64th seed. Went on to win the match. Let me think, who else? Who am I missing?
I think Pagulayan probably hadn't switched over to Canada by then.
Yeah. So that's 3.
Yeah.
And I'm hard pressed to think of another, really.
Yeah. There is one more.
There is one more, okay. Oh, Rodolfo Luat, right?
No.
No, he won the World 8-Ball Championships, I believe, in '96. Let's see here. Well, Bustamante never won it.
He did?
He did?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's who I'm missing then, yeah.
2010. First of the
Doha
era.
Yeah, that's right. Uh-oh, he's going to get a little elevated. He wants that to go. This is going to be awkward, not only pocketing the 7, but also pocketing, playing position on the 8. So he's really got to show us one here, whether with speed or really delicate. Yeah, the U.S. Open 9-Ball Championships is the one that eluded Francisco. So that would be 4, right?
Well, 5 if we count Pagulayan, because I think he was still representing the Philippines then. Yeah, very good. Shane Van Boning, of course, the World Championship. Yeah, really good. The World Championship was the one that eluded him for so long. But he won it 2 years ago, and he's just won the 16th rack to go 9-7 up on Wu Kunlin, a match in which he has trailed for a lot of it, but he's won 6 of the last 7 racks now.
Well, I'll tell you, they just had that big one-pocket tournament, big money tournament also, and Francisco hadn't been back. Look at this shot here. Decided to play it pretty simple, and he's going to have to show us a pretty nice one up the rail. One of the prettiest shots anytime you're cutting the ball past the side down the cushion. But everyone in the building told me how well he played, so it'd be amazing to see what kind of results he could have if he got back out here and played some World 9-Ball Tour at 60 years old or 61.
And that is 6 racks to 0. Anton Raga producing about as dominant as a display as we've seen all week here. He leads 6-0.
Yeah, if we had stats on this match, as far as balls pocketed, wow, what would it be? I think Lou Teng, he made the 1, 2, 3, 4, played safe on the 5-ball, was it, in the 3rd game? Something like that?
Yeah. Let's look at other scores then. 6-0 between Jonas Suto and Jeffrey Ignacio. Patrick Gonzalez got a great chance of knocking out former champion Ko Pin-Yi. That one is 7-6 to Gonzalez. Mark Boisterbosch is also a rack ahead against Konrad Yusishin at 6-5. Pius Labutas 5-3 over Francesco Candela. Moritz Neuhausen has won the 11th rack, but it looks likely to be in vain now. 9-2 down against Wojciech Szewczyk. Robbie Capito 4-3 up on Ralph Souquet. Alexa Pechelge continuing to pull away from Naoki Oi, who reached the semi-finals 12 years ago. It's 9-5 there now. Pechelge needs 2 more. If he gets them, he'll play João Grillo, because the Portuguese player has now won 11-6 against Fu Che Wei. Joshua Fillers won the first against Fitim Haradinaj. Oscar Dominguez has built a 4-1 lead against Ali Alobadli. Yanioski 6-2 up on Chang Yulong. Chris Melling 6-4 against Tolian Han. Still 2-0 for Roland Garcia against Elliot Sanderson. And you were right, JJ. Amir Ali did win another rack against Fedor Gorst. He now leads him 5-0.
It's amazing, really. Really haven't seen Federer at the table much either, so probably the way you keep him with the donut.
Meanwhile, back here, first dry break of the match.
And kind of unfortunate, most likely he's got to play safe. Could cut at this, and I wouldn't blame him if he did, trying to go right up and down the table, maybe at the 9. Very makeable ball, even though it's difficult. He's going to try and kill the cue ball behind the 7. Is it enough? I'll tell you, definitely got the snooker, at least partially. We saw already one incredible jump shot. May go for another. Actually, he feels like he can get at this one. A shot inside spin, maybe a subtle swerve around the 7. May go for the bank here. Doesn't have all the 2 ball. Could just chip the 2 and leave it kind of on the rail for a difficult combination, or maybe no shot. But the cross side bank, what a shot that was. Isn't that bad, because you can track the cue ball up and down. Bit of a backdoor safety as well. It lays pretty natural. I like him going for this. Especially, it doesn't feel like he's going to miss. Just kind of smooth it up and down the table like that. Yeah, but you can see how difficult the 2's going to play with the 3 back down. I think that was a smart shot.
Big news. Amir Ali has won the 6th rack against Fedor Gorst. It's 6-0. Do you know much about him?
Not at all, and I don't know if he's the best player even from Iraq.
He has played in the World Championship before, and he took Victor Zielinski to a hill finish, albeit Zielinski was very young at the time.
Yeah, well, very young for Zielinski. He could still play, of course. Youngest player ever to win a Euro Tour event. Was he 15? Is that what it was? 16?
I think it was 16.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he'd already done that by the time Ali played him, in the World Championship.
Yeah, I figured. I didn't think he was like 12 or I was hoping not anyways, but with all the great Polish players, right, it would have been hard to qualify. Now, he's going for a tough shot here. Awkward cueing. Watch out for all ball fouls, of course, but tells me maybe a 3-9 kiss shot is available if he happens to bury this. There's not a whole lot of safeties, though, so maybe figures I can come back with the cue ball, maybe get a little fortunate on the miss. Wow, what a strike. Watch out, 5 ball. Watch out, 5 ball. Wow, that's unfortunate. Really speared that. And Kendall has missed the 9. He's had a lot of chances in this match. It's right in front of us and really has cleared a few racks and just made the late mistake. Now 6-3 for Labutis.
Well, Piers Labutis is someone to absolutely keep an eye on. He's had a great year, been to a couple of big open event semi-finals, including one just a few weeks ago in Telford. And he's also been in the final of 2 of the smaller ranking events in the last few months.
Yeah, one of them not so small, the Derby City Classic, 500 players. And
only lost Hill in the final against Joshua Filler.
And he's always been a great cueist and just really kind of coming into his own.
Well, I remember you talking about him maybe 2-3 years ago, like way beyond anything he'd achieved in the game. You were building him up and always someone like you can spot the potential in someone who hasn't done a huge amount yet, but you can see he's going to, and he's living up to that now.
Well, the thing is, you know, he's from
Lithuania.
I know,
I'll
but
help you out, Jay.
yeah. I usually don't have a problem with that one. Just some reason today having a few issues, but you know, it's easy to be kind of the big fish in a small bowl kind of thing, where there's not a lot of great players there, and really kind of learning from all these other greats from around the world. Oh, our first big mistake, not only the missed ball, but a scratch with the cue ball.
I'll tell you what, if anyone is going to be struggling with the heat here, it's got to be Pius, where he comes from.
Don't know much about Lithuania.
It's very northern Europe,
oh,
so
yeah,
really cold there.
Skinny fellow, though. He can handle it. Oh, big fluke there from Copini at 7-7. With Patrick Gonzalez.
You know, you talk about Gonzalez there, we're watching Raga here. I was thinking, if you had a tournament and said, right, Philippines players only, it would still be one of the best tournaments of the year. And you'd have such narratives as well, the established guys, the younger names.
And it wouldn't be like 4 or 8 players either. You could fill 16 or maybe even 32. They carried 11, is that right, into the final 64? I think that was the number.
No, it wasn't quite 11. They started out with 13, and 9 of them got through.
Oh, 9, okay.
Anyway, let's look at Lu Teng for a moment, because we've not had much opportunity to do so in this match. Has been to the last 32 of the World Championship before, in 2019. He'd been to this round the year before that, and had a lot of good results last year in world ranking tournaments. Got to the quarterfinals of the one in Connecticut almost a year ago now. Did well in the Scottish Open, the Perry Open. Got to single elimination at the UK Open, and as I said, went much further than that in the UK this year.
Yeah. I was going to say, though, just like we talked about yesterday in a match, I believe it was, or maybe the day before, when you trail at this number, and it's hard not to be thinking of it or have the thought enter your mind. I'm not saying you're keying on it, but you feel like every ball is just a tournament for yourself. I mean, trailing 6-0, he's got to put something special together.
Yeah, unlike Raga, Lu Teng has got here undefeated. In fact, he only lost 4 racks in his first 2 matches, and he wasn't playing mugs, you know. He was up against Sanyan Pelivanovic in his first match and Petri Makinen in his second.
Yeah, Makinen, who's a semi-finalist, and we all know the talent of, at the UK Open, we all know the talent of Sanjan. Of course, Sanjan kind of happened to him again today against Eklund Kachi.
Tough day for past winners of this title, and Joshua Filler can be added to that list. Early stages against Fitim Haradinaj, but he is behind at 2-1.
And good morning, America. SVB's on the hill, and it looks like he has his opponent snookered. Up 10-7. Wu Kun Lin going to the air.
Well, Lu Teng had his chance in that rack, but wasn't able to take it, so like all the racks that went before it, it's gone the way of Anton Raga. He now leads 7-0 and is already very close to a place in the last 32. Winner of this match, by the way, will play either Hunter Lombardo of the US or the Austrian Mario He, who was so close to getting to the final last year. Elsewhere, 2-2 between Elliot Sanderson and Roland Garcia. Chris Melling 7-4 against Tolian Han. Janiuski leads 8-2 against Chang Yulong. Amir Ali 6-0 up on Fedor Gorst, as I was saying. Remarkable stuff. Oscar Dominguez well in front, 5-1 against Ali Alobadli, the only player in the field from Qatar. Now Yuki Oi is hanging on. He's back to 9-6 down against Alexa Pechelj. Robbie Capito leads Ralph Souquet 5-3. Wojciech Szewczyk is now on the hill at 10-2 against Moritz Neuhausen. Pius Labuta 6-3 against Francesco Candela. Shane Van Bonin on the hill, as we were saying, 10-7 against Wu Kun Lin. Mark Beisterbosch pulling away against Konrad Yusishin, that's 8-5. Jeffrey Ignacio 1 up on Honasuto, that's 7-6. And it's 7-all between Ko Pin-Yi and Patrick Gonzalez. One disappears into the side pocket again.
I think he's going to be snookered, but I think he may take on the jump. He really doesn't mind taking on a tough jump shot with the push out option available. Seen Raga do this quite often. You know, there is the value, of course, on certain jumps. You could get fortunate in some kind of way, not leaving a shot, maybe fluking a ball. But I gotta believe he's a little bit of a favorite here, maybe 60%. The good thing is, if he does knock it in, the red 3's right there. Now this is the type you could easily let up on a little when it's near the rail. Just something about it. So don't let up and catch the brown 7. Give up ball in hand. Swish. He's got to play a nice one here, just because the speed control's got to be really good with the black 8 hovering over the pink. He's got a nice angle to go around the 6, it appears, and should be able to reach this okay. Ko Pin-Yi with a nice combination on the 9 to go up 8-7 over Gonzalez. You know, I don't know Gonzalez at all. Really? Do you know a whole lot about him, Michael?
Not really.
I've never seen him, never heard of him, really.
Yeah, no, I have heard of him before. But as you always say, and Carl says as well, you see the Philippines flag next to someone at one of these big international events, you know they're really good.
Yeah, it's Chinese Taipei seems to seem the same.
You know, you've got Ko Pin-Yi there having to battle against Gonzalez. You've got Shane Van Bonen, who's just been pegged back to 10-8 against Wu Kun-Lin. Gorst obviously well behind. Filler's got an early deficit. Still no former winners of this title through to the last 32, and there aren't going to be many of them.
Yeah, just a lot of pressure, and of course, again, we always talk about it, or at least I believe it, really. Another bank shot there from Raga. How many banks has he made in this set in the first 7 or 8 games? But you know, the other players are just catching up a bit. They're finding out, you know, if I just worry about myself, not worrying about the name I'm playing, they have the skills. And you know, if you're prepared, you don't have to have all the shots. It's just all the shots you have need to be quality.
So we were talking earlier about the Philippines players who have won this championship in the past. It's hard to see any reason why Raga couldn't put his name on that list this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he breaks the balls well enough. You know, that's just like yesterday. People asked a couple, ooh, did get her down. That's why he's also fun. Even when it's a miss, you can kind of feel the body and see how much he wants it, right? He doesn't want anything bad to happen. But just like yesterday, a couple people asked me about the Albin Chua match, and I thought, well, Chua played pretty well overall against Jason. Had a couple misses I think you could excuse just because they're balls he's supposed to make. But I just didn't feel like Albin could keep up breaking with Johan, to be fair. And Albin's improved on the break quite a bit, but you know, just like you know, I think Chris Melling, for instance, he's got to really have an exceptional run of breaking the balls to be able to win this tournament. Of course, that does turn around. He's capable also, but there's certain things you have to have, I think. And I think you got to be pretty good at the long ball because you know it's going to come up. I think you have to be able to make some good decisions mentally, and you have to be able to break the balls well.
The one thing you could say that might count against Raga, you would think, in terms of trying to win this, is his lack of experience of playing on this sort of stage. But he just rocked up at the European Open out of nowhere in the context of these tournaments and was 1 rack away from winning it. So I don't think that is a factor. He's definitely a contender for this. Let's look elsewhere. Elliot Sanderson in front now against Roland Garcia at 3-2. Chris Melling, who you just mentioned, is at the table and leading 8-4 against Tolian Han. It's 8-2 for Yanni Uski over Chang Yulong. Ali O'Badley's just won rack 7 to get back to 5-2 down against Oscar Dominguez. Joshua Filler is levelled at 2-0 with Fitim Haradinaj. 9-6 for Alexa Pechelge over Naoki Oi. It was a close start between Robbie Capito and Ralph Souquet, but Capito's got it now to 6-3. Wojciech Szewczyk is still looking for one more. 10-2 he leads Moritz Neuhausen. Who saw that kind of a scoreline coming? Pius Labutis now 6-4 against Francesco Candela. Shane Van Bonin, as we were just saying, 10-8 against Wu Kun Lin. But surely the big story going on at the moment is the one on table 4, where it has Fedor Gors 0, Amir Ali 7.
Wow, that's just it's amazing, really. And the amazing part is we can't see how the match has really gone about, but you know, how many chances has Fedor got that he didn't really take advantage of? I'll tell you what, though, and I tell you okay, there's a little opportunity, a little opening. The thing I may see about Raga, and there's not really a flaw here, I think, but you know, if the shots after the break aren't coming, and let's say he's facing an opponent that, you know, a quality opponent like we have here at the World Pool Championships, it seems like he likes to control the pace of the match. And if someone that, you know, is getting some shots and returning serve, you know, exchanging some games and kind of can slow him down a bit, right? Make him a little more heady and thinking about things. You know, I think it get him to where you may see a bit more of a mistake here and there. And that's not always going to be the case, but, you know, it's been a big part of pool for a long time, kind of controlling the pace of play. And I think right there we may see him come across that bridge at some point and see how he handles it, assuming he gets past the man that's at the table now.
I don't know about you, Jeremy, but I never like to see anyone getting whitewashed, especially on a big occasion like this. Lu Teng has a chance here to at least ensure that won't happen.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when they really haven't done a ton wrong. I mean, there hasn't been like game after game of having opportunities and really not taking advantage. Kun Lin is at the table running out, trying to make it 10-9. He's in a great position with 4 balls left.
Yeah, semi-finalist last year for the second time in his career in the World Championship.
Well, the thing about it, you know, is that going to get? Oh, okay. The thing about him is, as we talked about, he's just not a player that's going to give it away. Just plays super solid. May have a miss here and there like we all do, but, you know, a lot of times in these high-pressure moments, we see players, you know, make a lot of mistakes, whether it be with the brain or with the arm, but or a combination of both. That's just not him very often.
Chris Melling, incidentally, looks to be moving a lot better today. He was really struggling to get round the table yesterday. He started Wednesday in hospital, finished it in single elimination, managed to get through the day, lost to Aloysius Yap, and beat Imran Majid in the All-British clash to make the final 64. He's basically got gout in his foot and he could barely move yesterday morning, but seems to be moving a lot better today. He's 9-4 up now against Tolian Han. If he gets through, he could have another All-British clash tonight, because he would play either Elliot Sanderson or Roland Garcia, and Sanderson is 4-2 up at the moment.
Yeah, Konrad Jushishin trying to get out of here to cut the lead for Beisterbosch to 10-6. I kind of wonder about Konrad. Really great player and so talented. Was having more results not long ago, but been a little quiet of late.
Yeah, and he has got back to 10-6 there. Okay, so we won't see a whitewash. Lu Teng has got one on the board.
Same thing for Fedor. He's shooting the 9 right now to get on the board.
Yeah, and he's got it. So Amir Ali leads Fedor Gorst 7-1. Yaniuski 8-2 up, and Chang Yulong. Mayuki always got another one back against Alexa Peschel. She closes to 9-7. Francesco Candela has closed to within one of Piers Labutus at 6-5. Wu Kunlin 10-9 down against Shane Van Boening, so the champion of 2 years ago is right up against it there. Mark Beisterbosch, as we said, 10-6 against Konrad Yusashin. Ko Pin-Yi is taking an 8-7 lead over Patrick Gonzalez, and it's 8-all between Honus Suto and Jeffrey Ignacio. So much going on, Jeremy. So many big stories developing here, and so many close finishes in prospect. This is what it's all about. Meanwhile, back here, it's very one-sided, but at least Lu Ri Teng has got one on the board now, and we're going to see his first break of the match.
Yeah, nice break off. He's going to get a nice kiss to come across and kiss the blue 2 into position, and can't ask for much more than this. Very playable blue 2. We'll get a look at the 3.
Another winner to report is Wojciech Szewczyk of Poland. An 11-2 winner against Moritz Neuhausen. Well, that really is an eyebrow raiser, isn't it? He'll now play either Piers Labutus or Francesco Candela. 6-5 Labutus at the moment. I mean, we all knew Szewczyk could beat Neuhausen. If it had been a bit closer, it wouldn't have been a major surprise, but 11-2, especially after Neuhausen played so well yesterday on this table against Billy Thorpe. Wu Kunlin at the table, looking for 10-all against Shane Van Boening. And of course, if he does get that, he'll be breaking in the case game.
Yeah. Snookered here on the 3. Wu Kunlin.
Whereas Lu Ri Teng might have a 3-9 combination coming up. Oh, Wu Kunlin has jumped out of that. Hit it a bit harder. He might even have fluked it in the side, but as it is, he's left it right over the pocket and given Van Boening a chance to get the job done and get into the last 32. Lu Ri Teng has made the 3-9 combination. So, nothing wrong with that at all. Nice break and a very quick kill. Still such a long way to come back from, though. It's 8-2.
Yeah, SVB's really got one good shot here to position the cue ball for the pink. And then the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 really on the bottom end, and shouldn't be a problem. Looks like he's gotten in a pretty good position.
Patrick Gonzalez has won rack 16, so is now level again with the champion of 9 years ago, Ko Pin-Yi. That's 8-all. It's really been a theme of this championship. Problems and unexpected defeats for players who've won this championship before. Carlo Beato going out so early. Albin Ocean getting a bit further, but not much.
Yeah. You know, we've seen some matches just stay one way, but a lot of them have changed throughout the match. 2 or 3 times, really, it seems.
And of course, the most recent winner of the World Championship, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, claimed the title in the snow and ice of Kielce in Poland last year. Lost it today in the intense heat of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, beaten by Mickey Kraus, who finished off with his second golden break of the match.
Yeah, SVB now on the 6 ball. He can kind of hold the cue ball if he wants. Has a little angle. It could stun him forward. Look like a dry break. And we'll see what Raga has in mind. He can kind of go rail first, clipping across the one, trying to bleed the cue ball over behind the pink. Difficult shot, though, and not the worst play in the world, though, especially with a difficult push-out situation, the one near the side. Yes, VB's in a good spot. He wants the cue ball cleaned, it looks like.
Federer-Gorst is not in a good spot, but it's a slightly better one now because he's won 2 in a row, back to 7-2 down against Amir Ali.
And, you know, Federer's had a lot of mistakes in this tournament at times. He's missed 2 9-balls last night during the match. Did get the win at Hill, but I just wonder if he's ever gotten his break going, because, I mean, that is another piece that usually separates him, and he needs it now, if any time at all.
Shane Van Boening was 6-3 down against Wu Kunlin, but he's taken 8 of the next 11 racks to come through 11-9. He's the first player who's won this championship before to make it into the last 32 this year. In Poland in 2023, his hopes were ended of a second world title by Duong Kwok Wang, but where DQH succeeded, WKL could not. Van Boening is through. Chris Melling's on the hill now, 10-4 against To Lian Han. He's really streaked away. It was close going early on.
And from the looks of things, not just the score, it looks like Chris has played his most solid match of the tournament, really.
He had that amazing match against Imran Majid last night where he broke dry 7 times. Still won comfortably.
And it looks like he's going to take on the kick shot after the push here. 8-2. I wonder if I take this on if I'm Lu Ritang. This kick shot, not that hard. A lot of good things can happen, not just making it. So may have taken this kick shot on, trying to make something happen, put some racks together maybe. What's the Naoki Oi score? He just got one back, so I know it's tightening up.
Yeah, he needs to get another 4 basically because he's 10-7 down to Alexa Pescelj of Serbia. So Lu Ritang just starting to get a bit of a foothold in this match now. Ball in hand, a chance to make it 3 on the spin. Pescelj on the hill, Melling on the hill as we said, and Mark Bijsterbosch as well at 10-7 against Konrad Jusicin.
Yeah, I think there was 6 Americans that did go through. Hunter, Oscar, right? Billy Thorpe, BJ Ussery,
Van Boening and Gorst.
And Gorst, yeah.
Yeah, exactly half of the dozen Americans who started out.
Yeah, Oscar's got a tough match. Very good cueing. They're all tough, right? Doesn't matter who you're playing, really. They're all those soft draws. There are some favorable ones, but nothing soft. If you don't perform, you're going to be on the sidelines. He's in a good position here. I wouldn't try to get too much out of this cue ball. Maybe just a few inches back.
Elliot Sanderson is carving out a nice lead for himself over Roland Garcia, the former world runner-up. It's 5-2 now to Sanderson. And of course, he could really do with building a big lead because, boy, does he start to feel it and breathe heavily when it gets close in the finish of a match.
Yeah, and one of the biggest comebacks we saw yesterday, Roland was down 7-1, along with Elliott actually down 6-1. Both pulling out that match to get to this final 64. Now the difference was Rollins was on the one loss side. Elliott had another barrel if he had lost, but got through undefeated.
Yes, Anderson had a good job in the civil service actually and left it a year or two ago to become a full-time pool player, so it's so important to him to achieve every bit of success that he can to justify that decision.
You can see definitely a different pace around the table for our two players, and this is kind of what I mean. If he had gotten some shots early, or at least a few more shots, may have gotten a little more hold, maybe slowed Raga down a bit. Jushishin's gotten another back. So now only trails 10-7 to Bijsterbosch at the table as well.
Lou Teng's comeback continues. Was 8-0 down, it's now 8-3. Fitim Haradinaj has levelled with Joshua Filler, the 2018 champion, at 3-all. Janiuski is 8-4 up against Chang Yulong. Oscar Dominguez 6-2 over Ali Al-Obadli of Qatar. Alexa Pechelge 10-8 now against Naoki Oi. Ralph Souquet's coming back against Robbie Capito. He's close to 6-5. Piers Labutas has just made it 7-5 against Francesco Candela. 8-all between Copigny and Patrick Gonzalez, and Hona Suto is 9-8 up against Jeffrey Ignacio. And there is one match only just starting. That's Hunter Lombardo of the US against Austria's very experienced two-time World Cup winner, Mario He. And they are the current scores you can see there. Elliot Sanderson's got another one on the board now, so 6-2 against Roland Garcia. Could be an all-Yorkshire clash in the last 32 this evening, because, as I said, if Sanderson does get through, well, I can tell you he will definitely play Chris Melling, because they're just shaking hands. Close going early on, as I said, in Melling's match against Tolian Han from Singapore, but Melling has streaked away to win by 11 racks to 4. He's in the last 32. Lou Teng is standing up, itching to get on with it. Anton Raga has just taken a brief break. You can notice in the corner of your picture there's a big discussion going on with Marcel Eckhart, the senior referee, and a couple of players. Can you make out who that is, Jeremy?
Yeah, that's
it's Suso. Yeah. And Jeffrey Ignacio.
Yeah, very tight match.
You know, of all the sporting events I've not been lucky enough to go to, number one on my list, Jeremy, is the Masters Golf at Augusta National. Number two on my list is the tennis at Wimbledon. I've no excuse, really. I spent half my life in London. I've still never managed to make it to Wimbledon. But I've always thought if I go, I wouldn't want to go to the show courts. I'd want to walk around the outside courts and see a bit of everything. And I feel it's a bit like that at these big pool events. You walk around, and of course, because the playing area is so small for each match, you can watch 8-10 players all at once.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and the setup was like that on purpose, right? So you can get a feel of whatever player you wanted to come see, or whatever player that may become the one you're following for one reason or another. And Lou Teng's going to be very upset how he hit the rack there. Super thin, really close to not even contacting the one, really. And yeah, I'm right there with you. Been to the Masters, never been to Wimbledon, excuse me, and or the U.S. Open in the tennis. Always wanted to go to Flushing Meadows. I was a tennis player, believe it or not.
No, I can well believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back-to-back dry breaks for Lu Teng, and from this one he's left a very good opportunity for Raga to get within 2. Meanwhile, more big news from table 4, because after losing the last 2 racks to let Federgorst back into it a bit, Amir Ali of Iraq has won rack 10. He's 8-2 up now on Federgorst. So really, you would have to say, Jeremy, that match is going to turn into arguably the greatest ever recovery we've seen in the World Championship, or perhaps its biggest ever upset.
Yeah, at least maybe at this stage, right? Or the biggest event ever in Nineball pool here in Jeddah for a lot of reasons. So many implications moving forward after this event for whoever really takes it down, and depending on who they are, maybe the 2nd and 3rd place finishers as well. Well, he's got to make a nice shot here to gain position on the 5 properly to make it easy on the 6. If he falls short, the brown 7 could really come into play. Looks like he's got a perfect angle to really manage the speed well. Just wants to creep into the kitchen or the break box. That would be a good spot for the cue ball. That's going to be light. That's going to be light. And not the shot. Again, he can't pound around with the 7 in the way, coming off this kind of bad angle. And we talked about maybe Federer turning it around and making the story of the year, as far as, you know, not having his best early and maybe grinding through a few matches. But also there's always that saying, if you keep, you know, flirting with fire, right, and not putting in the shots you need or the racks you need, these players, no matter who it is he banking another one? And that's all about position.
Well, you know, going back to Gorst, you've kind of summed it up pretty well there, really, because he lost his first match to Mustafa Alnahar. But even the 2 wins he got to get to this stage, he could easily have lost both of them. 9-7 against Long Duc Tien, and then just squeezed home against the really talented young Philippines player, Kyle Amoroto, by 9 racks to 8.
Yeah, and both those, you know, he got some help. A scratch on the break at Hill with Amoroto, and of course the push out, the non-call on the push out at 8-7 from Thien, and Thien knew it as soon as the referee called foul. He did not question a thing. Yeah. You just wonder why, really, with Federgorst, so many struggles here. I think he arrived as early as any other player that wasn't from Saudi. First player I put my eyes on, you know, me and Carl arrived, what, Wednesday the 29th, I believe it was, which I preach to the players, which is amazing to me, some of the Americans, how late they show up to some of these overseas events. I don't know how they could do it. Even when I was younger, it's very taxing to me, not only the stress of the event, but you want to have 100% strength.
So Lu Teng won 3 racks in a row, but he's lost that one. And crucially, I think you would have to say, in the context of what we've seen already in this match, he's handed the break now back to Raga, who only needs 2 more to advance. Chang Yulong has got it back to 8-6 down against Janiuski. Elliot Sanderson continuing his wonderful afternoon here in Jeddah. 7-2 now he leads Roland Garcia. American Hunter Lombardo has won the first against Mario He. Oscar Dominguez 7-2 up against Ali Alobadli. Fitim Haradinaj leads again against Joshua Filler. Haradinaj has beaten a really big name in the past, you know. He defeated Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at the UK Open last year, just after FSR had won this. Miyuki Oi battling back against Alexa Pechels, but the young Serbian still needs just 1 more. It's 10-8 there. Ralph Souquet is really on a roll. He's level now with Robbie Capito at 6-all. Piers Labutus has made it 8-5 against Francesco Candela. Mark Beisterbosch still needs another one. 10-8 against Konrad Yusishin. And the other matches, it's 8-all between Ko Panyi and Patrick Gonzalez. Well, Ko has just gone 9-8 in front there, and it's 9-all between Honus Suto and Jeffrey Ignacio.
Yeah, Yusishin just got another one, so now 10-9 in that match. Very playable combination here, but is it kind of going away from the red 3, the cue ball, and the angle on the combo? This overhead will tell us. Yes, it is. And I don't know if he can really spin the cue ball. May come some 3 rails around. Left side rail. No, he's going to try and roll this in, I think. Okay.
So having snapped his 3-rack losing streak, Anton Raga has got a chance here to get to the hill. Eight-2 now for Elliot Sanderson against Roland Garcia. So at the moment we've got a 9-all, a 9-8, a 10-9, a 10-8, an 8-6. Could be some really close finishes over the next half hour or so. Not looking like one here though. Raga has played very well. Federer Gorst has got another one back, so he's won 3 of the last 4 now against Amir Ali. That's 8-3. In favour of the Iraqi.
Yeah, you kind of feel like he's putting a little bit of rhythm together with the swing, probably winning 3 out of the last 4. But, you know, he's got to get a lot of shots after the break. It sounds like the man from Iraq is playing the game very well. Of course, hard sometimes. Oh, I thought he missed it. Raga will make you jump from the comm box. I'll tell you, when his body moves, I kind of move with it. And, but he's playing well. Of course, it's not easy to cross the finish line at such a big event against such big players, but you got to believe he's prepared. He's ready to do it. And it's the 8 and 9 now, and again, from day to day, things can change with this game. Just like I said earlier about golf, you see a guy go out and shoot 61 and he shoots 74 the next day, and you wonder how that's possible. But good thing for Raga is he's got to play that next match, as long as some miracle doesn't happen here for Lu Teng later on this evening. And usually if they play a good one early, they're going to continue that day to play very well.
And Anton Raga is now leading Lu Teng by 10 racks to 3. Another break and run there. As I was saying earlier, you know, after he had that great run at the European Open, he was beaten not long after that in the last 64 of the Hanoi Open by the veteran of veterans, Ralph Souquet, winner of this championship 28 years ago. Well, Souquet could be on the way to doing something similar today, because he's up against Robbie Capito, who, as you know, won the UK Open not even a month ago. And Souquet is now leading that match 7-6.
Well, I thought the tables, you know, the tables we had at the UK Open, I thought the pocket was tougher. I thought that was going to be a stretch for Ralph to make a deep, deep run. Just, I think the long ball at times, or even occasional ball that's not so long, can be missed. But I thought these tables set up to where Ralph could do a little something, or any of the vets, really.
As you said there a few minutes ago, Jeremy, if Raga gets one more rack now, he will play later tonight in the last 32, but he'll have to wait quite some time before finding out who that match will be against, because they're only one rack into the match between Hunter Lombardo and Mario He, and it's the US player Lombardo who's won it.
Yeah, watch for the golden break here. We've seen some of these great performances be finished with the golden break.
Yeah, I think it's happened 3 times now on the main table already.
Yeah, great performance by Deng Junhui. You know, after he lost the first 2 games to break and runs, Alexa Bazels misses the 6th ball up 10-8 against Naoki Oi to finish that match off. Oi's still alive and looks good to make it 10-9.
As I said, Shane Van Boening, the only player who's won this championship who's through to the last 32 yet. Well, who knows, he might be the only one full stop, because Ko Pin Yi is still trying to shake off Patrick Gonzalez. The Philippines player is at the table with a really good chance to make it 9-all. And Joshua Filler has got a battle on his hands. He's a couple behind now against Fitim Haradinaj at 5-3. And of course we know about the problems of Fedor Gorst.
Yeah, Mark Beisterbosch in a pickle over here in game number 20, ahead 10-9, but not in a good position. So we could see another heel match there between him and Jushishin.
Well, the most famous match of Beisterbosch's career so far was played almost exactly a year ago in Lugo, when he surrendered a decent lead. It was only a couple of racks, but 12-10 in a race to 13. It's significant, of course, and ended up losing that final to Dang Junhui. Is he going to lose from a strong position in another massive match today?
Well, he played an incredible match, the semi-final against PS Labudas that went heel as well. Last year's semis and finals, along with this year's, they've been just incredible. I think a lot to do, of course, the players all improving, but a few of the rule changes made a huge difference, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even Ko Ping Chung, he ended up winning by 7 racks in the US Open final, but it was just wonderful to watch his display and how well he performed to win those 10 racks in a row.
Yeah, it seems like when the scores were a little lopsided, it was special performances, really.
Lu Teng needs pretty much the most special performance of all if he's to stay in this World Championship.
Yeah, he can get at the blue too. Can he knock it away and hold with the 6? Oh, he's got a double kiss. He needs some help. He's going to get him over the purple a bit. Nah.
I think it was 8-2 the last time I gave you the Elliot Sanderson score against Roland Garcia. Well, it's now 9-2. And he could avoid himself all that heavy breathing and all the psychological turmoil he goes through in a close finish, because he could win that one very comfortably, Sanderson, and go through to face his fellow Yorkshireman Chris Melling later. Hunter Lombardo now 2-0 up on Mario He.
You know, he wants to finish it here, though, with a big lead. Don't want funny things to start happening.
And as one Philippines player looks to close it out here, another has moved to the hill on table 2. Jeffrey Ignacio now leading Honus Suto by 10 racks to 9.
Yeah, Patrick Gonzalez and Ko Pin Yi 9-9. Gonzalez at the table. End up a little short here. May show us a nice one coming 3 cushions with low right spin off the pink. Trying to avoid the upper right. Could shoot it with inside, but I really like the outside English here. You get to let the stroke out. Don't have to worry about the speed. Just kind of dig on the cue ball. Oh, he killed it. He killed it nicely. You could see a big finish through the cue ball.
Fedor Gorst has got another one back now. How must Amir Ali be feeling? The Iraqi player was leading 7-0. But he's only won 1 rack out of 5 since then, and that is very much game on once again. 8-4 now.
Yeah, those world champions, former world champions, are doing their best to survive. Oh, Naikuyoi with a scratch on the break at 10-9.
Yeah, and that's 10-9 down against Alexa Peschel. So ball in hand now for the Serbian.
Yeah, and Alexa's made a couple mistakes here. The last few racks, a big missed 6 ball in the last that was very playable. That was to win as well.
Fitim Haradinaj is now 6-3 up on Joshua Filler. The 2018 champion needs a big turnaround.
Just got to make one good shot here for Raga. I think he'll use 2 cushions up and down the table. Maybe something different. Could float it. Looks pretty thin to float it though. Looks to be pretty good speed. I tell you, if you're a Raga fan, you got to like what you're seeing here moving forward.
Yeah, well, I think the one-sided nature of this match, and also the fact that there's so much going on everywhere we look around this wonderful arena here in Jeddah, means that this has all been a bit overshadowed. But really, there should be a lot of attention on this because Raga has played really well. It's not like he played his way into the match. He's just been really good from the start.
Yeah, I know he had a ton of breaking runs. I don't know exactly how many. 5? 6 maybe? 5?
He's had 4 so far.
Only, okay, but he's had total control, it seemed.
Yeah.
In every rack.
And what he has now is victory. Anton Raga has defeated Teng by 11 racks to 3. He looks absolutely delighted, probably as much with how well he played as he is with the victory over a fine player who we saw in the last 16 of the UK Open just a few weeks ago. So victory then for Anton Raga. He's a contender for this world title, no doubt about it.